Hello, and welcome back to yet another episode of Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane, on What Does This Button Do? A channel where I play games passionately, but with not a lot of skill.
And I criticize you for fucking up your intro again.
I'm Rhiannon.
And I'm Sigma.
And as I stated tonight, we will be hopping back into Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane.
And oh boy! This case that we're about to get started on is, it's...
That's right. I have to pick new game and select the case each time.
Yep. A little bit janky, but it's fine.
Ooh.
Ignore the beardy old man. We're not worried about him yet. For now, we need to worry. For now, we just gotta worry about...
Tonight we're going to start Case 4, Severed Ties.
Yes.
Which is going to be a wild and crazy adventure. It's going to involve dogs, it's going to involve disabilities, it's going to involve horrible little monkeys. So without further ado, let's get started.
She's been waiting to give us the horrible little monkey line.
Up until now, we've been following the story of Tyrion Cuthbert.
Like you do.
We've experienced the world through his eyes and fought for justice through his soul. But this time, why don't we start from the perspective of another?
Oh boy. Finally, I get to be the bailiff! I've always wanted to see inside the touch cave. For touching.
I can't believe Cuthbert read the client's mind without asking. It's starting to become a problem. He's becoming more and more reckless with each passing year. I wish Frey was still alive. She would know what to do. She made it look so effortless. And he loved her. Would he have listened to her if she was still here? I'm trying to figure out what voice to give her, sorry.
Proper.
I know.
Reserved.
Is something the matter, Tymora?
That'll do.
No. I was just thinking about something. Well, the trial is about to begin. I don't doubt your abilities, but I'd still appreciate it if you remained focused. All of our futures are at stake, after all. Of course, Miss Braga. Beatrice takes in a deep breath before she claps her hands together. What's wrong? Nothing. It's just a ritual I use to calm myself. Right. I suppose we all deal with stress differently. But more importantly, what are you doing here? God damn it, she's back again.
My father sent me to guide Beatrice to the courthouse. It's a new environment for her, and we were both worried about her condition.
I still can't believe you were the boss's daughter this entire time. Why didn't you say anything at the academy?
Oh, knowing my true identity would have caused friction with your son, wouldn't it?
He's not my... At any rate, I suppose I understand why you stayed quiet. But I still don't appreciate being kept in the dark about this. Tyrion is your son, Ruby. Just accept it.
Well, he does call her mommy.
Oh, speak of the devil.
Oh good, I'm here.
Got Cuthbert and McCoy walking into the courtroom with the other members of the gallery. McCoy spots you and gives a friendly, yet awkward smile.
Okay, I guess I
However,
don't say anything.
Cuthbert ignores you entirely and walks silently into the courtroom.
Parental troubles?
We had an argument earlier. It's nothing to worry about.
If you say so.
You are wary about what he saw in Beatrice's mind, though. He's always been a good kid, but his idealistic sense of justice clouds his judgment sometimes. You just hope that he's not planning to do anything reckless. Ruby, honey, darling. It's Tyrion Cuthbert. He's going to be doing something reckless.
Oh, he's going to do something very reckless indeed. I can't wait.
The trial is about to begin. Do you really have the time to be making small talk here? Prosecutor Steelwind approaches the three of you. But she appears to be accompanied by someone else. What is this class reunion?
I thought we wouldn't really do the whole class reunion thing for like another 10 years, but I guess this is okay,
Nightgrave?
I think.
Is that you? What are you doing here?
Well...
He's accompanying me as my aide for this case. I see. So I assume you'll be prosecuting. Of course. I would never pass up the opportunity to face the infamous Ruby Tymora. Really? If I recall correctly, you haven't even beaten Tyrion once so far.
But, Miss Steelwind, don't strain yourself.
Why does he not call her lady?
By her own... presumably by her own,
By her own request,
Yes.
Yeah, based on the quick correction.
Yes.
What's that look for, Beatrice? You almost look surprised to see me here. Considering the circumstances, I thought you might recuse yourself. I am more than capable of being objective. Especially for a case of this much importance. Well, I hope your mind is as strong as you think it is.
Miss Steelwind, please calm down.
Oh, how I love a good reunion.
This gonna be a long case.
Especially since you're going to be doing all the talking.
Oh my god.
Minus this guy.
Court is now in session for the trial of Beatrice Frege. Miss Steelwind, is the prosecution ready? Miss Steelwind?
Oh, of course. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is also ready, Your Honor. Something seems off about her today. Is her personal attachment to this case distracting her?
Very well. Let's begin the proceedings. Prosecutor Steelwind, could you please list the charges?
Your Honor, the defendant is charged with first-degree murder and grand theft. As many of you know, Beatrice Frege is the formerly missing daughter of the now-late William Frege. And the victim of the murder is William Frege himself.
Yes, I'm well aware of that. People of Wivengard will certainly mourn the loss of House Frege's head.
Please, the only people mourning him are the banking house's shareholders.
Regardless, did you say that the defendant is accused of grand theft?
Yes, Your Honor. The crimes took place during the Lord's Ball, an event that was hosted in Frege Manor yesterday evening. The Heraldson Hall of History had a gallery display within the manor. They were showcasing several magical artifacts donated to the Wivengard Historical Society. One of these items was the Sword of Spell Eating, a magical artifact that allows its wielder to nullify magical effects. Sword of Spell Eating. The Sword of Spell Eating is an ancient artifact. When wielded by a creature, that creature and anything connected to them, physically or magically, are immune to all harmful magical effects. Legends say that it was forged through a blood contract between a mage and a demon. We, the prosecution, believe that the defendant stole this item. She then used it to nullify the magical lock on the victim's study. After breaking into the study, she attacked the victim and slashed his throat open using a letter opener. He died of blood loss shortly after. Autopsy report. William Frege. Died at 3:12 a.m. Cause of death was blood loss after his throat was slashed open. Both carotid arteries were severed, meaning that death must have followed mere seconds after the wound was inflicted. Body shows several scratch marks on the face and back. Traces of illusion magic were also found on the body. Okay, that is a mole. That wasn't a mark on my screen. I wasn't sure. My screen gets very dirty.
I see. But what possible motive would the defendant have to murder her own father, apart from that mole?
William Frege and his daughter were not close. Saying that they had a strained relationship would be an understatement. In fact, 5 years prior to the murder, Beatrice abandoned and fled her home. She went into hiding and did not contact any of her friends or family. Her whereabouts were unknown until she suddenly contacted her father a week ago.
I see. She went underground. Like a mole.
My client left the Frege household because of her toxic relationship with her father. She wanted to create a life for herself that was free from his influence and abuse. I won't disagree with your claims, but that just highlights how desperate the defendant must have been. She had clearly fallen on hard times and begrudgingly contacted her father for financial aid. I can't possibly understand why they would schedule this meeting during the Lord's Ball. But nevertheless, several witnesses did see her that night. And these same witnesses saw her storming out of her father's study in anger. Her father must have refused her request for gold, so she decided to murder him to claim his inheritance. Luckily, we prepared for this in advance. Yes, they're playing right into our hands. William Frege's inheritance? Beatrice Frege fled from her family 5 years ago and went into hiding. In retaliation, William Frege told Miriam Frege that he would remove Beatrice from his will. As a result, she wouldn't receive any inheritance after his death. As per your agreement, this testimony will be confirmed by Miriam Frege in court. What you're saying is all conjecture, Steelwind. You don't have any evidence or testimony that confirms what they spoke about. Yes, I'm well aware that you and your client have refused to tell us what was discussed during that meeting. But as long as you both stay silent, my claims are plausible. Be honest, Steelwind. Do you seriously think that my client committed these crimes in spite of her condition? That is one smug Ruby Tymora.
Condition? What do you mean by that, Miss Tymora?
Why don't you tell him, Steelwind? Tell the court about my client's disability. Your Honor, Beatrice Frege is considered legally disabled. However, legally disabled? That's a convenient way of putting it, Steelwind. My client isn't just legally disabled. She is completely blind.
Completely blind? Is this true?
We have several medical documents and testimony from several
Chirurgeons.
chirurgeons attesting to that fact. Chirurgeons?
Chirurgeons.
Chirurgeons?
Yes.
What? Is that a word?
Probably.
I've never heard of that word in my life.
It's like surgery, but with your hands.
My-
It's bullshit.
Okay. Magic. Got it.
Well, either magic or, like, just old-timey, ancient. I'm going to put some leeches on you now. Kind of healing.
Okay. My
Unsure
client.
which.
My client is unable to see anything.
With or without leeches.
Beatrice's blindness.
Beatrice Frege is completely blind. She is unable to see anything through her eyes. This has been verified through several medical reports and qualified chirurgeons.
Thanks, superhero dictionary.
What is the meaning of this, Miss Steelwind? Do you expect me to believe that a blind woman performed any of the acts you're accusing her of?
Sorry, I got a little excited on the button press.
Alright. It's faster than my mouth.
I'm glad
I'm sure somebody's going to take that out of context, but not today.
I'm glad you also see how ridiculous these claims are, Your Honor. If the court would just let me elaborate. Steelwind, the prosecution's first charge is grand theft. My client would have needed to break into a magically secured display case. Performing such an act would be a difficult task for anyone, much less my client. And the second charge is first-degree murder. My client would have needed to use the sword of spell-eating on the lock leading to the victim's study. Then she would have needed to grab a letter opener, overpower the victim, and deliver a precise and fatal blow to the victim's neck. Does any of that sound like a reasonable theory, Your Honor?
I'm compelled to agree with you, Miss Tymora. It all sounds quite ludicrous, to be perfectly honest.
This is just awful.
The Steelwinds are clearly just attacking the Fregas now that their head is deceased.
Crunchy objection? Enough! Your Honor, this court has not seen the evidence that supports this case. Nor have you listened to the Inquisition's testimony regarding their investigation. Until you have done so, you are in no position to pass judgment.
I love her.
Very well, Miss Steelwind. I suppose you have a point.
Guess the young lady has some claws after all. But it doesn't matter. Their case against Beatrice is questionable at best. Frankly, it's surprising that Steelwind even went through with this. It's only a matter of time before the judge sees things your way. To begin, the prosecution would like to call Commander Orrin White to the stand. Finally, someone I don't voice!
Oh, man.
Commander White, please testify to the court about the Inquisition's findings.
Right. We didn't want to cause panic after the Soros, so we activated the Manor's silent security system. It put an anti-magic field over the entire manor. We did a search of the house. We found the stolen sword in the defendant's room. It didn't look like she was going to run. Crown Prince Aster told us to stand down. So we just had to go silent.
Yay!
Such a fangirl.
He's so fun, I love him.
I mean, he is fun. William Frege was in a bad mood that night, so he'd already locked himself inside his study. But an hour later, we entered the study and found him lying dead in a pool of blood. The lock was still engaged, and no one teleported in. The perp must have temporarily disabled the lock using the sword of spell eating. We have testimonies that say the defendant was seriously in debt. She must have murdered the victim to get a part of his inheritance.
The case against Beatrice is just as you predicted. And you already have a countermeasure to disprove the existence of any motive. All you have to do is present that to the court. Okay.
Crunchy.
Crunchy cross-examination. What the heck do I have in Ruby's notes?
Let's find out. Moles! You have moles! 2 horrible, horrible moles!
My runestone. Ah, okay, so it's the fact that she's not getting anything from the inheritance.
Ring-a-ding-a-dinga.
And... objection.
Objection.
Your Honor, the prosecution's case against my client is riddled with holes. And the prosecution's proposed motive is the largest among them.
What do you mean, Miss Tymora? Of all the elements in the case, the motive is the most believable. Your client would have had much to gain through her father's inheritance.
That may be. But that's assuming my client had anything to inherit at all.
What?
Your Honor, my client fled from her psychologically abusive father 5 years ago. How do you think he would have reacted to that? Lord Frege was a petty and vindictive man. Do you honestly think he'd leave his inheritance Do you honestly think that he'd leave his inheritance to someone who disobeyed him so egregiously? No. He'd do everything in his power to make sure she didn't see a shred of his wealth.
Well, so much for not speaking ill of the dead.
Yes, we're already well aware of this. The moment she slams her cane down, you notice the prosecutor wince a little. But she quickly hides it and regains her composure. She put her foot in the cane. On the night of the murder, the victim made the decision to disinherit the defendant. However, his murder deprived him of the opportunity to submit his will to his attorney. This only further proves the defendant's motive. She would have needed to act quickly, lest her father submit the changed will. I'm afraid you're mistaken, Steelwind. William Frege didn't disinherit my client that night. He disinherited my client 5 years ago. I have witnessed testimony from Miriam Frege, William's youngest daughter. By her own admission, her father disinherited my client shortly after she fled the household.
What? She never brought that up during questioning.
Perhaps she's not as amicable to you as you thought. If you don't believe me, why don't we call her to the stand and ask her ourselves?
What are you planning, Ms. Tymora?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, it's clear we won't get anywhere until we hear from Miriam directly. Bailiff, please escort Miriam Frege to the stand. Miriam, is the defense correct? Did your father disinherit Beatrice 5 years ago?
Yes.
And you didn't think it was necessary to share this information with me?
Well, you never asked. If I recall correctly, you also were tight-lipped during questioning this morning.
Are you staying quiet for your sister's sake?
The witness just lost her father. You can hardly expect her to recall every detail that's relevant to the case.
Which raises a more concerning question. How did you extract this information?
Who knows? Maybe I just have a way with people.
Don't you believe it?
Regardless, I suppose you have a point. I'll give the witness the benefit of the doubt. For now. In any case, Miriam, please testify to the court about how you found out about Beatrice's disinheritance.
Yes, of course. Trying to remember the voice I gave her.
Pretty much that one.
One day, we all woke up and discovered that Beatrice had fled from our home. She left a note for us, and in it she renounced her name and denounced my father. My father later called me and my sister into his study. He told us that he'd completely disowned Beatrice and removed any claim she had to the Frege estate. It was probably a threat to us in case we ever chose to go down the same path she did. He wanted to make an example out of her. This all happened 5 years ago.
And are you sure this all happened 5 years ago? We know from case 2 how bad you are with time.
She's not that bad with time.
Yes, but it was a key point of case 2.
Probably.
Yes, even now I can remember everything clearly. I see. Her speech is getting slower. Is she deep in thought? Nightgrave seems extremely concerned for some reason.
Oh, jeez, oh gosh.
And Leifa was there with you at this meeting?
Is that how you pronounce that?
That's how I thought it was pronounced.
I can roll with it.
Yes, she was. However, Leifa couldn't possibly have been there. Oh? Her words were getting more slurred. You also notice that her balance is slightly swaying. Is she okay?
No.
Hey, are you okay? Of course. Oh, what?
By the scared Lord, is that blood?
But blood?
The bailiff find anyone capable of casting healing magic.
Nightgrave!
Is there a doctor in the house?
Oh gosh. Oh jeez.
Oh man. Oh gosh. Oh, I know this was coming, but oh man, I was not ready for it. Oh gosh.
Escort them to the courtroom immediately.
I'm already here.
After some scrambling, a couple of healers are able to help Nightgrave stabilize the prosecutor. We just have an assassination attempt on our prosecutor? In all the chaos, you caught a glimpse of her. There were deep wounds and blood on several parts of her body. She must have used some kind of illusion to hide them, but her disguise has completely dissipated now. Before Steelwind is taken out of the courtroom, you catch her whispering something into Nightgrave's ear. You see a look of confusion from him, but he nods and makes his way to the witness stand. But not before passing a message on to the bailiff, who seems equally confused. Just what the hell is going on?
She's trying to take marching orders from spotty teenagers. Whatever.
Mr. Nightgrave, explain yourself. What is going on? Why was Miss Steelwind so gravely injured?
Yes, I want to know this information.
I'm sorry, but I wasn't actually here as Miss Steelwind's aide. I was here as her healer.
Her healer?
The truth is, Miss Steelwind was violently attacked at noon today. She was in critical condition, but she insisted on prosecuting the case anyway.
What the hell, Arya?
Yeah, that's what I said. I owed her a favor, and she asked me to channel my necromancy to keep her wounds closed during the trial.
Scared Lord, why didn't she just recuse herself?
Yeah! Sorry, I was not present when you were playing this part. I didn't know any of this. She must have known. If anyone else tried to prosecute Beatrice, you would have handily won the trial. Nevertheless, she showed up to prosecute because no one else would, and she did it all despite the risk to her life. It almost makes you respect her a little.
Almost.
Almost.
Hey! Stealing my lines.
In any event, is there any need to prolong this trial, Your Honor?
What?
Even you must acknowledge how weak the case against my client is. In addition to that, Miriam's testimony shows that my client had nothing to gain from her father's death.
Miss Tymora, Miss Steelwind has been gravely injured.
Yeah, Ruby, what the heck?
And you're still only concerned about...
The only thing I'm concerned about is seeking justice for my client.
Even so, we cannot move forward until we found another prosecutor.
And how long do you think that will take, Your Honor? It's almost been 12 hours since the murder took place. That gives us, what, 36 hours? After that, every magical trace of the crime scene will fully disappear.
But there might be someone...
If Steelwind had simply allowed another prosecutor to work this case, we wouldn't be in this situation. She took a risk, and now she has to pay the price. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? You're not exactly proud of winning this way. But this is what it takes to win. And you won't let an opportunity like this pass you by. Is what I think is about to happen?
Let's find out.
The judge is clearly unhappy with this turn of events. But it's out of his hands now.
Well, due to today's unprecedented event, I suppose I have no choice. There aren't any prosecutors available to immediately take Ms. Steelwind's place. We will take a brief recess. After that, I'll deliver my verdict.
Oh, yes! I knew it! I knew it!
Your Honor, I'm afraid you can't pass a verdict just yet.
Oh my god! Prosecutor Tyrion!
What am I doing?
Oh my god!
Mr. Cuthbert!
Cuthbert? The hell are you doing?
I have no idea.
I don't know. But what I do know is that there was a massive contradiction in Miriam Frega's testimony.
But it looks like things aren't going to be as simple as you expected. Woo!
Surprise!
That's
Whew,
that's a hell of a kickoff.
a little bit.
The night before.
I feel so out of place here.
Despite your clear hatred for the nobility, you found yourself at a party filled with aristocrats. You hardly recognize anyone, but many of the people here clearly recognize you. You're used to receiving dirty looks from the upper class, but you can literally feel everyone's disdain for you. Why are you in the corner by yourself?
I can't believe I let you talk me into coming here.
Whoa. For reasons unknown, you lose your train of thought. Right.
God
Reasons unknown.
damn!
I've been wanting to wear this dress for a while now. What do you think? What's wrong?
You suddenly feel extremely flustered. It's difficult to make eye contact with her.
I think you look pretty good, pretty good.
Oh, I see. Are you enchanted by my beauty?
A little bit.
Come on! Say something! Ever since that night in Aranax, you felt like something has been off between you two. Anybody who wasn't here for last episode, you'll need to go back to last episode to figure out what they mean by that night in Aranax.
It's okay. We'll wait. I mean, we won't, but go back. It was actually 2 VODs ago.
Was it 2? Yeah.
Yes, that the ship tease incident occurred. Speaking of out of place,
Hi, Ruby. Am I interrupting something?
nothing, mommy. I'm just gonna keep that.
I wanted to check in on you two before we went to meet with Lord Frega. You spot a woman silently following behind her. Is she the client that Ms. Tymora is representing? You're pretty sure this is your first time meeting her, but she still looks familiar for some reason, because you met her younger sister.
Hi, I'm Tyrion Cuthbert. I'm Ms. Tymora's, ward.
You extend out your hand to shake hers. She has an aristocratic air to her, so you hope you're not being too informal. Instead of taking your hand, she claps her hands together and takes a deep breath.
Oh, what?
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. It's a bit of a habit of mine.
Oh.
Nevertheless, she finally shakes your hand.
I've heard much about you, Mr. Cuthbert. My name is Beatrice.
She does have a cute smile.
She does. You're not sure about the details, but your mentor appears to be brokering a deal between Beatrice and William Frega. William Frega is the ruling lord of House Frega, so you're a little curious about what kind of deal he'd be involved in. But you've learned not to pry into your mentor's business. At any rate, we'll probably be gone for a while. Can I trust you two not to cause trouble? You're in a manor filled with the highest members of the nobility. You might meet some familiar and unfriendly faces.
Well, we'll keep a low profile, Ms. Tymora.
Please do.
So, why were you so insistent on accompanying Ms. Tymora to the Lord's Ball?
That's...
You know you can tell me anything, right?
Oh.
I guess everything that happened in RNX made me think about things. I don't really know anything about my past or where I came from. I didn't want to think about it because of my dad and my mom, but...
You wanted to find out who your biological parents are.
I do. But I don't know now. Being here is starting to make me feel weird. I still have my mom, and looking for my birth parents feels wrong somehow.
I don't think that's true.
Really?
I mean, speaking as an adoptive son myself, there's no real harm in really kind of wanting to know where you came from, even if it is more of a genetic formality than any actual, relevant element of, nurture or whatever.
Thank you for going into That's Why a minute to take a drink. I've been voicing, every character.
Sorry.
Ms. Tymora adopted me when I was a child, and she gave me purpose in life. But I still keep my childhood memories of my mother close to me. Ms. Tymora and my mother are both important to me. I don't think it's disrespectful to find out more about yourself. And I'm sure your mother will understand.
You think so?
Yeah, she seemed perfectly understanding.
Of course. And I'm also sure of another thing. If I'm with you, I doubt any of the nobles here will want to speak with you.
Yeah, I didn't want to be rude, but...
Don't worry, I'll go shove off. I can find something to fill the time.
Maybe someone wants to play chess.
No, not again!
You're just going to play chess alone, aren't you?
Maybe.
You really need to learn to talk to other people.
I don't think this is really the venue for that.
Make some new friends or something.
This definitely isn't the venue for that.
I don't need more friends. I usually want to spend most of my time with you anyway.
You can't just drop that, Tyrion.
Wait, no, that's not... I mean,
You can't just drop that out of nowhere, Tyrion.
Anyway, I'm going to try to talk to some people.
Yeah, I'll see you later.
Celeste leaves to mingle with some of the other partygoers. You find yourself with very little to do, and you doubt anyone would want to engage in small talk for the likes of you. Your hand instinctively goes to your satchel. It contains your foldable chessboard.
Nerd! Well, it's not like I have anything better to do.
For real though, what kind of carries a travel chess set?
Oh, the stories I could tell you from high school.
Okay, to be fair, I did keep a pack of Uno cards in my backpack in high school.
Classic deck of 52 for me.
But at least mine was a social game.
Number of
You can't play Uno alone. Despite the name.
number of teachers I pissed off by playing solitaire during, study sessions. Not my fault. I already got my stuff done before everyone else did. I should try to find an empty table to play on. Well, I see no shortage of available options.
Move?
But it appears to want you to move somewhere, yes.
Hallway?
This place looks pretty quiet. There aren't any tables anywhere. I could play on the floor.
Puppy!
No. That's not good. Thank you.
While walking through the hallways, you suddenly find yourself face to face with a large wolf. Immediately upon seeing you, the wolf quickly gallops away. Wolves gallop?
Did someone leave a door open?
You think about telling someone, but you remember that the manor is full of nobles. You're sure a servant will spot it eventually, and it's not as if anyone will believe you anyway.
What's a all noble here?
But it'd probably be best to find somewhere else to play. Okay, so this is just getting us to learn the location through Tyrion looking for a place to play chess.
Yeah, just a scotch.
You look further around the manor and find a room with several displays. That sword looks suspicious.
And familiar.
It looks like a gallery of some sort, but it's slightly out of place here. There are a few nobles in the room, and they're all silently appreciating the exhibits. Perhaps Lord Freyga paid a museum to create some historical displays for the Lord's Ball.
Now there's a face I haven't seen before.
As you take a closer look at one of the exhibits, an old man approaches you. Is that a monkey on his back?
Yes, well, I've been trying to go to rehab about it.
I did promise horrible little monkeys.
Hello, my name is Harold Haraldson. I am the curator of this collection. Harold Haraldson? Is that a pseudonym or something? No. I love this guy.
I love the flat no.
Oh, trust me, Harold Haraldson is a delight. I see.
Wait, he's a museum curator?
Yes,
He
couldn't
must
you tell
be-
by the hat?
He must be extremely knowledgeable about Wyverngard's history. You wonder.
Would you happen to know anything about the ancient dragons? Ah, like the scaled Lord Rithalion. There are many pieces in this gallery, and some of them were items that were wielded by the 7 heroes of Wyverngard. Legends say that some of these items were directly enchanted by Rithalion himself.
Enchanted by Rithalion? Would that mean that they also don't follow the rules of magic? Perhaps you should examine these items more closely.
Be my guest. It's what they're here for.
I'm gonna look at the paintings first, because they're fun to me.
Painting of a researcher. That is Professor Matt Furland. He was a professor of some renown. He was a researcher of combinatorial magic theory. What's that?
It's the study of how different types of magic interact with each other. He famously ran an experiment on what would happen if two anti-magic fields overlapped each other. That's actually pretty interesting. What were the results of the experiment? Well, they had mages enter the space where the two fields overlapped. Turns out that those mages were able to use their magic in that space.
Wait, how would that be possible? They would have two anti-magic fields affecting them.
Did the two cancel each other out?
When the two fields overlapped, they canceled each other out. You've done your reading on this, haven't you? I'm very proud. Excellent work. You get a gold star. I've heard that it's akin to multiplying two negative numbers together.
Fascinating. Okay.
It's a painting of some sort of scientist.
He looks fun.
Oh, yeah.
He also looks a bit like Jamie Heineman.
When in doubt, artificery. That man is Dr. Luke Kepfer. He was an alchemist and inventor from one of the branch families. He's well known for his studies into imbuing intelligence into automatons.
Intelligent automatons? Would that make them similar to arcane constructs?
Yes, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if Lord Von Sanctus used Dr. Kepfer's research to create those constructs.
So, in essence, Von Sanctus is taking credit for someone else's work.
What a surprise.
Elon!
No one. Let's start with these guys.
A pair of golden earrings. There are small jewels embedded into each of them.
Those are the earrings of vitality. It's said that the Scaled Lord imbued a portion of his immortality into these. Legends say that whoever wore them would have their lifespan increased tenfold.
Scaled Lord could do things like that?
Of course, he is the Scaled Lord after all.
Earrings of Vitality. The Earrings of Vitality are ancient artifacts. When worn by a creature, that creature's wounds will slowly heal over time. Furthermore, its holder's lifespan increases tenfold for as long as they're worn. Legends say that it was created by the Scaled Lord himself. Okay, so that answered my question. I was like, does it only extend your life while you're wearing them? Which seems to be the case, which would be very inconvenient for earrings of that size.
Are there any spells that can create a similar effect to these earrings?
Not that I know of. A spell like that would probably fall under the school of necromancy. And I'm sure you know how much the kingdom scrutinizes that type of magic.
The monkey.
Angry monkey.
It's a pair of metallic armbands. There are several magical runes carved into them.
Those are the armbands of intellect. They were actually created by a member of House Frege many centuries ago.
Centuries? That would make these armbands one of the first creations of artificery.
That's correct. Legends say that whoever wore these armbands would be granted unparalleled levels of intellect.
Boy, look at your monkey!
Many believe that House Frege created these to aid them in their study of magic.
Armbands of Intellect. The Armbands of Intellect are an ancient artifact. When worn by a creature, that creature's intelligence would be increased beyond the limits of an average human. Legends say that it was forged by a member of House Frege to further their study of magic.
And finally, last but certainly not least, it's a crimson red short sword.
That's the Sword of Spell Eating. Legends say that it has the power to protect its wielder from any kind of magic.
So it's like an anti-magic field.
In a way, yes, but it has less than heroic origins, I'm afraid. It's said that the sword was created through a blood pact between a mage and a demon. Demon? Legends say that some demons had the power to absorb and nullify magic. The demon must have imbued some of that power into this sword. Or at least that's what the legends say.
Sword of Spell Eating. The Sword of Spell Eating is an ancient artifact. When wielded by a creature, that creature and anything connected to them physically or magically are immune to all harmful magical effects. Legends say that it was forged through a blood contract between a mage and a demon. It feels like you've read this before.
Is it safe to put something like this on display? What if the legends are true? Don't worry. These displays are fortified with several abjuration spells. I bet even Lord Steelwind would have trouble getting into this.
Heralds and security. The artifacts on display at the Lord's Ball were protected by layers of abjuration spells. Even a highly skilled mage would have trouble breaking into them. Think that's everything.
Yep. Probably more to chat with him about, but...
Yeah.
Oh yes, himself. So what is a historian doing at the Lord's Ball, Mr. Haraldson? Harold. Right. Harold.
Please, Mr. Haraldson was my father.
Well, Lord Frigga invites my museum to set up some displays here every year. I just think it adds a semblance of culture, the fool. You own a museum? Yes, it's the Haraldson Hall of History, located in the city of Homerith.
That's a mouthful.
Only about. Unfortunately, I don't think his guests appreciate the historical significance of these items. Oh look, a rock. Honestly, I think you're the only person in years who's taken a meaningful interest in them. Sorry, but I really have to ask, is that a monkey riding on your back? Yes, this is my familiar, Eugene. Your familiar? A familiar is a creature that a mage has formed a magical bond with. With that bond, our souls are forever connected. I can communicate with him telepathically. I can even cast my spells through him if I wanted to. Really? I never knew a spell like that existed. Quite rare. Very few mages take the time to learn how to cast it.
Familial bond. The caster forms a magical, unbreakable bond with the target creature, connecting them to the caster's magic. While this bond exists, the caster can telepathically communicate with the target over any distance. The caster can also choose to see through the target's eyes as long as they concentrate. And lastly, the caster can also cast spells from the location of the target creature instead of their own location. Once this bond is formed, neither the caster nor the target can form bonds with any other creature. This bond can only be broken in death.
Friendship. Eugene helps me with my day-to-day. These old bones aren't as spry as they used to be after.
Fascinating.
Harold. Harold. As a historian, do you have a lot of knowledge about the ancient dragons? The answer to that question is somewhat complicated.
Like this rock.
Like this rock. What do you mean? Well, it's ostensibly igneous, but it's got some interesting marine fossils in it that suggest a more, sedimentary word. Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about the dragons, aren't you? Unfortunately, a lot of historical texts in my collection have been altered or even outright destroyed by the Church of Bahamut. Because of that, it's quite difficult to separate myths from actual historical accounts. Right. I remember encountering a similar problem at the Imperial Academy. You must be quite dedicated to your studies. I let this simpleton into the Imperial Academy?
Rude. But you suppose that can't be helped.
I had to fight the church for a long time before I could even display dragon bones in my museum.
You have dragon bones in your museum?
I have dragon bones in my museum. Ha ha ha!
Tell me everything.
In the history of the ancient dragons, was there any instance of them granting powers to humans? Well, of course. That's the entire premise behind the 7 Years of Women God. They did not even know that. Right. But was there anything before that? Did they ever grant supernatural abilities that didn't follow the rules of arcane magic? Granting supernatural abilities, you say? That sounds more like something demonic in nature, rather than draconic.
Uh-oh.
Demonic? Much like the ancient dragons, demons are the stuff of myths. There are many stories of people selling their souls for untold power.
Selling their souls?
Selling their souls.
You recall the note that your mother left for you before she was executed. Use my eyes. Peer beyond the divine gate as I once did. She told you to use her eyes. Did your mother make a deal with a demon to give you the Eye of Horus?
Is something wrong?
This simpleton is far too suspicious. No, nothing's wrong.
It's a bit too much to take in, but you might just be overthinking this. There haven't been any recorded sightings of demons in recent history. They're only secondhand stories and superstitions. The Eye of Horus can't possibly be demonic. Can it? You hope Celeste's investigation is going better than yours. Let's check in with her.
So, that's gone well.
How dare you insinuate that I engaged in an adulterous relationship?
That's not what I...
Enough! If you try to speak with me again, I'll have the King's Guard throw you out.
This isn't working. I don't think asking them like that will be very effective. What?
Oh, mama!
Jesus, I was not ready!
We get hotter in here?
Did you expect anyone here to be truthful with you? You're essentially asking them if they cheated on their spouses. Have you been spying on me?
Not intentionally. I was just surprised to see you here, of all places.
Right. I guess that makes sense.
You're not party crashing, are you?
Listen, yes, that would make a lot of sense given who you're talking to at this moment, but surprisingly...
You're lucky I didn't crash this party looking like you!
Well, that would track, wouldn't it?
Of course not! I came here with Ruby and Tyrion!
That honestly raises more questions than answers, but I'll take your word for it. At any rate, you're looking for your birth parents, aren't you?
Was I being that obvious?
It's the only reason I could think of. Why else would you be trying to speak with members of the nobility?
I don't know if it's any of my business.
Think hard about whether this is what you truly want. Getting entangled in the aristocracy will only bring you misery. I've read your file. You have everything you could ever want. You have your mother and your friends. You even have a lover.
What?
You're in a relationship with Mr. Cuthbert.
Oh no,
are
she
you
shipped
not?
it!
She's past shipping. She's just assuming it's canon.
No! Tyrion's not my...
Really? From the way you two behave around one another, I just assumed. Very similar to the way you behave around Aster.
Funny joke.
It's pretty obvious you have feelings for him.
What? How obvious?
Oh, honey.
Did he seriously not notice? I'd think someone with his deductive reasoning skills would easily see through you.
Yes, well, he's a little bit distracted on account of feelings are mutual.
Oh, yeah? What about you and Aster?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Keyboard smash?
Come on, I was there at Von Sanctus Manor. It's so obvious you like him. Please, you're grossly exaggerating things.
You're already engaged! You're allowed to say you like him! He may be my fiancé, but I only have the utmost respect for him.
Is that what we're calling it?
And what if I told you he was standing right behind you?
Do you honestly think I'd fall for something like that?
What are you falling for?
Your Highness?
Oh. Hello, Lady Steelwind.
Oh, hi, small child.
You keep having to do the kid voice.
Your Highness, please don't run ahead like that.
I mean, I could do the kid voice.
You wanna?
If it hurts you to do.
It's just kind of awkward for me to slip into, and it's going up several octaves higher than I'm really comfortable using.
I'll do the kid voice then.
Well, if you're sure.
Don't imagine the little kid will have to be used very much. We're gonna be seeing a lot more of that small child.
We're gonna be cross-examining the small child.
Oh dear.
Twice,
Oh boy.
at least.
Alright. That's fine. I can do this.
As long as you know what you're getting into.
Your conversation with Harold was definitely interesting, but you still find yourself with very few leads. Be it dragons or demons, the origins of the Eye of Horus still remain a mystery. You find yourself returning to the ballroom, and you spot Celeste in the corner with some other people. Is she with Aster and Steelwind?
Hey, Aster, what do you think of Steelwind's dress?
Hoochie mama! It suits you very well, Miss Steelwind. You look lovely.
Oh, she's doing this just to torture Steelwind, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. I forgot she keyboard smashes twice.
Gross.
As you approach the group, you're stopped by a knight from the King's Guard. He stares you down.
What? Prepare your Arcana.
That was the incantation for Detect Magic. The knight stares you up and down. Celeste hasn't cast any spells on you lately, so he shouldn't be able to see any traces of magic.
Oh, Mr. Cuthbert. What was that all about? My apologies. They were making sure you weren't disguising yourself with an illusion.
Again?
Again.
The King's Guard are charged with keeping us safe. They must take every precaution to protect us. Stuffier?
Stuffier. This kid is maximum royal bratling.
Okay.
Oh? And who might you be?
Do not speak so familiarly with me, peasant.
There you go. Alaric, don't speak to him like that.
Why shouldn't I speak to him as I please? I'm Prince Alaric de Wyverngard the Sixth. I will not demote myself by showing courtesy to a commoner.
Doesn't he mean demean? He's 7.
I'm terribly sorry about him, Mr. Cuthbert. It's fine.
So, weren't you supposed to be investigating your birth parents?
Yes, but then we ran into Steelwind and we're having so much fun tormenting her.
Yeah, no, that checks out. Leave the poor woman alone.
She started it.
Right.
I'm actually quite surprised to see you both here. What brings you to the Lord's Ball, Mr. Cuthbert?
We were just accompanying Miss Tymora. Her client has business with Lord Frege.
Her client?
Was she mad?
Was she angry?
Beatrice?
Beatrice suddenly storms through the ballroom. She almost walks right past you before she hears Aster's voice. She looks furious. Did her discussion with Lord Frege go badly? Oh, that voice. Is that you, Aster?
It really is you!
She called him Aster instead of Your Highness. Do they personally know each other? Oh no! You're chuckling, and the look you just gave as you took a sip of your Coke like it was Kermit with his cup lifted. You have dirt. I'm glad to see you again. It's been quite some time. Aww.
Is that really all you have to say?
It appears you two have much to talk about. I'll be taking my leave.
Oh. Oh. They were a thing, weren't they?
Carry on.
There's a bit of tension in the air. No kidding.
Celeste, we should probably get going too.
Yeah. Wow, that was awkward.
Yeah. Wonder how those two know each other.
She's working with Ms. Tymora, but she somehow knows Lord Frege and the Crown Prince. Just who is she? Well, you suppose it's none of your business.
So, how'd your investigation go?
I got nothing. I think all I did was make a bunch of the nobles mad.
Sorry. I know you really wanted answers. But I'm sure something will come up.
You think so?
It might be a little irresponsible to give her hope like this. A noble abandoned her at a tavern in a rundown village. You doubt someone like that would make themselves easy to find. You're cackling, and also, we've only seen one other group of people with white hair. Aw.
Anyway, I don't want this night to be a total loss. Come on, dance with me.
What? That's not really something I,
Don't be like that. How often do we get to go to a party like this?
Before you have a chance to object, she grabs your hand and starts dragging you to the middle of the room. You receive a few dirty looks from the aristocrats nearby.
Celeste, they're staring at us.
Or staring at us.
I see they haven't quite gotten to proofreading on this particular chapter yet.
We'll submit it to the typo log.
Yes.
Who cares what they think? They're nobles. They're going to hate us no matter what we do.
Can't argue with that.
She takes hold of your other hand and begins to pull you into a waltz. A waltz?
A waltz?
Oh boy.
Can't you hear the music? Obviously.
Okay, now it finally hit a waltz.
No, it's been in a waltz for a bit. I don't even know how to dance. I've never done this before.
We can tell by your expression in the art. Which is very cute.
Thanks.
It's easy. Just stop being so awkward about it.
It's easy for her to say. Okay, yeah, it's in 3. It's a waltz.
Alright. Just tell me what I need to do.
Well, first, you need to be closer to me.
Yes, the waltz is a very close-up dance.
Oh, yes.
That's why I was like, ooh.
She knows what she's doing.
With one swift motion, she pulls your body closer to hers.
Wait.
Watch my movements and try to follow my lead.
You seem to know a lot about these things.
I had to do a lot of networking when I was a mercenary. You know how many times I had to charm a merchant into hiring me?
Damn, girl.
See,
You really don't know much about her, do you?
also, holy shit, that neckline plunges.
Carefully watch the position of her feet and try to match her movements.
Her eyes are up there, Tyrion.
After a while, you find yourself able to match her rhythm. I wasn't going to say anything, but
Listen, I couldn't not.
you still accidentally step on her foot every few beats. She doesn't seem fazed by it. Either she's being polite or she genuinely doesn't feel anything.
You're getting it. But don't focus so much on where your feet are. Just look at me.
What?
Come on, do it.
You try to break eye contact with her, but every time you do, you slowly find yourself being drawn back into her eyes.
Is that right? Too fucking soon?
Did we fall into a fanfic? Or a dating sim? You feel so embarrassed that you're becoming lightheaded, and you find yourself perspiring more than usual. Oh, he is fully and utterly Twitter-baited. Twitter-baited? Did you not watch Bambi when you were a kid?
Oh, honey. Oh, honey. We've been over this. The things I remember from my childhood are few and far between.
Twitter-baited is what they say in Bambi when the animals fall in love with each other.
Oh,
They get Twitter-baited.
that's actually kind of cute.
Yeah. But at the same time, you don't have any urge to break away from her. There's a comforting warmth behind all the anxiety you're feeling.
There he is. The infamous Tyrion Cuthbert. Never turns away from challenging a noble, but can't dance a step to save his life.
Her expression doesn't betray a hint of it, but you still detect feelings of nervousness from her. Because she's like, I'm gonna make this more obvious. Is she just as flustered as you are? You find yourself relaxing a bit more, and you're somehow able to continue matching her movements.
See? There you go. Although,
What is it?
you know the man is supposed to lead, right?
Maybe I don't subscribe to gender stereotypes.
Or maybe you just suck at this.
Or maybe I just suck at this.
It's been a while since you felt this calm. There's always been something that you needed to prepare for. A client that needed saving, a culprit that needed catching. But you're quite content with this one brief moment you're able to spend with her. You almost find yourself getting lost in the mood. Until you spot a familiar face, accompanied by a legion of knights. Or we were getting somewhere.
Hey, DJ, put on something a bit cooler. I don't know, like some jazz or something. I like jazz. Jazz is good.
It's your line.
Sorry, I'm having too much fun.
No, don't tell me.
The knights.
They're about to do a group dance number.
It's a flash mob.
Alas, no.
The knights storm their way toward where Beatrice and Aster are. Arya, this is a weird way to approach things. Nah.
Oh yes, there's that.
Several of the attendees take notice. They all stop what they're doing to see what's going on.
Beatrice Frege, by the authority of the Wyverngard Crown, you're under arrest.
Did he just say Beatrice Frege?
Did I stutter, kid?
This is just getting good.
I know, Celeste. I feel you.
We should go see what's happening, shouldn't we?
Yeah, let's go.
You are completely out of line, Commander.
Oh god, the angry Aster is scary.
I thought I told you to stand down!
Sweetie, honey.
Do you not recognize who you're speaking to? Let go of Lady Frega.
I can't really do that, Your Highness.
Aster, what's going on?
It's Lord Frega. He was found murdered in his study. And these cretins think that Beatrice is behind it somehow.
Cretins is the more pompous way to say it, but it's Aster.
Oh, I mean,
First of all, it's Cretan. If you're gonna threaten me, do it properly.
sorry, Your Highness, but my orders come straight from Steelwind.
Lady Steelwind sent you?
No, the other one.
Beatrice takes in a deep breath and claps her hands together.
Sorry, wrong kind of deep breath.
I should go with them.
What? No!
My brother is right. They have no right to...
I don't want to cause friction between you and Arya. She's always been meticulous. I'm sure she's just being careful. I'm sure I'll be exonerated once they've thoroughly investigated what happened.
Okay. Only if that's what you truly want.
What? You can't just let them take her away.
Brother, she's correct. It is not our place to interfere with the laws of our kingdom.
But...
However,
Yes, Your Highness.
He's so scary when he's mad.
Miss Beatrice is blind. One of your knights will need to escort her. But she's what?
Just say that she's
Fine?
Sorry, that was a terrible take. She's what? There we go.
Beatrice's blindness. Beatrice Frega.
You've already read this.
Yeah, I'm not reading that fake word again.
Gonna have to look this up after the stream just so... right. Well, we're gonna need to take you to a holding cell. Maybe. One of you should stay here with her and guide her through.
Please. I may be disabled, but I'm not a child.
Beatrice walks past the knights and heads towards the foyer. Foyer? Foyer.
Foyer is the more...
It's a fancy-ass place. So we'll
It
say
is literally the more bourgeois way of saying it.
not while we're on stream, you dingus!
Although it does autocomplete.
it appears that she already knows the way out.
Ah, it's just an archaic word for surgeon.
Okay.
Huh.
Thanks, dictionary.com.
Shouldn't you be following her?
Right. Inquisition, move out!
Thanks, Tyrion. You definitely didn't expect the night to go like this.
Safe to say nobody did.
Just what is going on here?
Nonsense. Nonsense and shenanigans. Not the fun
Yes.
kind.
We will save. And I think we can go through one more section.
Yeah, okay. I can't believe they kept us here until noon.
Lord's Ball was already running well into the night, even before the murder occurred. You'd like nothing more than to catch up on your lost sleep, but you made a promise to Aster.
This doesn't make any sense. Beatrice was with me and my brother the entire night.
Well, after her meeting with Lord Frega. Right. You were there when she met with him in Steelwind.
She couldn't have stolen the sword of spell eating and have murdered her father.
I don't understand. Of all the people that could have done this, why would Steelwind suspect a blind woman?
Mr. Cuthbert, you defend Beatrice against these awful charges.
I don't think I even need to. What?
Beatrice is Ruby's client. I'm sure that she'll be the one defending her.
Well, that certainly puts my mind at ease.
Does it?
No.
What's wrong? I don't know if I'm asking too much, but could you still investigate the crime scene for me, Mr. Cuthbert? But we just said that Miss Tymora will... I know, and I don't doubt her abilities. But Beatrice is a dear friend of mine. I'd like every chance for her to be found innocent.
He said that she was a dear friend. They must know each other since she's a Draga. But would Miss Tymora, of all people, represent a member of a noble house?
Well, we already know that particular bit of tea, I think.
There are still a lot of things you don't know about her.
Excuse me?
Wanted to get that out before I started speaking as Aster.
Fair.
Of course, I'll also compensate you for your services.
Cha-ching.
Shing, sparkle, sparkle.
Consider yourself blessed. A commoner like you could only dream of a job like this.
Alaric.
I think it's Alaric.
Based on?
It feels right.
So you say that, but Alaric feels right to me.
However you say his name. Sound off in the comments.
Ow! Ow!
Sound off in the comments. The tiny prince has a point, though. A payment from the crown prince does sound tempting.
Yeah.
I can't believe this.
Celeste returns to the ballroom. She's changed back into her normal clothes.
What's wrong?
The people in the coat room said they couldn't find my sword. They told me that someone must have stolen it.
What?
Celeste's missing sword. When Celeste went to the coat room to change, she was told that her sword had gone missing. Someone else must have taken it. Hers is also a red sword. Why would someone want to steal Celeste's sword?
It's pretty fancy.
Aside from your group, everyone else at the ball was an aristocrat. You do recall her saying that it was forged in the Eastern Kingdoms. Someone might have stolen it because of its rarity.
We can probably keep an eye on it for while... We can probably keep an eye out for it while we investigate the manor. This might all just be some kind of mistake.
I hope so. But anyway, where should we start first?
We should head to the crime scene.
I remember hearing that they found Lord Frega's body in his study. Let's go over there.
This music is entirely too cheery for what's happening.
Oh, excuse me. I'm very yawny and very overheated.
That is quite the blood spot.
Well, both his carotid arteries were sliced, so yes, that's to be expected.
That would be a lot of blood. You arrive at the crime scene and see the usual swarm of Inquisition knights. However, you also spot some members of the King's Guard. They must be working together, since the victim is from one of the Pillar families. I wasn't expecting to see you here, Mr. Cuthbert. I thought Ruby Tymora was defending this case. Prosecutor Steelwind approaches you as you enter the study. And she's followed by an unexpected yet familiar face.
Hi!
Oh, this is when it happened? He did say noon. He did say noon.
Wallace? What are you doing here?
Hi!
He's here as my aide for the investigation.
Don't doubt Wallace's abilities, but you can't think of any reason why Steelwind would need his help. But you suppose it's none of your business. Sorry?
Sorry, I was over here doing the Kermit the Frog. But that's none of my business thing.
Yes, that one. We're here on behalf of Crown Prince Aster. He hired us to investigate this case independently.
I see. I'm sure he just wants to make sure the investigation goes smoothly.
Well, if you're here on behalf of His Highness, I'll do whatever I can to help you. This whole situation is quite unorthodox, but your goal remains the same. Perhaps Steelwind can tell you more about what happened. She don't bleed out first.
What's wrong?
All you do is click examine.
You can't see it? But this entire room is covered in traces of abjuration magic. Everything is glowing white.
Right. That makes sense. There were several anti-magic fields covering the manor. Those fields probably left traces of abjuration everywhere.
I won't bother showing you the traces of abjuration I find while we're here.
That's good, because that would be overload. Harry Arcanum.
There's a trace of illusion magic where the body was.
The assailant must have used some kind of magical disguise.
Or they turned themselves invisible.
Okay, and we already read this autopsy report. Second verse, same as the first.
Should get better, just keeps getting worse.
Anything else I need to note in here?
You don't think so.
Okay.
Well, maybe the blood stain.
Oh, there we go.
There's a pool of blood and a chalk outline where the body must have been. That's it. That's all.
Tell me about the murder.
The murder. What can you tell me about the murder?
William Frege was found dead in this room after the lockdown was lifted.
Wait, lockdown? What lockdown?
From what we can tell, his throat had been slashed open with a letter opener.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, I might have to call this early just because I can't stop yawning. The cause of death was blood loss. Both of his carotid arteries were severed.
Here's the autopsy report, if you want a detailed description.
Are you able to find the murder weapon?
Yes, the murderer left it at the crime scene. It was a letter opener owned by the victim.
The murderer must have found it in this room and used it.
There was one strange detail about the weapon. The handle was completely shattered. We're not sure what to make of that detail, but it's as if something crushed the handle using tremendous force.
That's weird.
Very.
Murder weapon. The murder weapon was a letter opener with House Frege's crest on it. It must have been owned by the victim. Its handle was completely shattered. It would have taken a tremendous amount of force to crush it like that. What would have caused the handle to shatter like that?
You mentioned that there was a lockdown. When did this happen?
You didn't notice? The Inquisition did try to be discreet. I should commend them. They actually did something right for once.
Wow, that's rare.
But everyone noticed the commotion Beatrice and the two princes made over it. I suppose you two must have been lost in your own little world, weren't you?
Aria. Oh.
Well, anyway, you said that Lord Frege's body was found after the lockdown. That means that something else must have happened prior.
Supposedly, someone had broken into one of the Heraldson exhibits. One of the magical artifacts was stolen.
So there was also a theft last night.
Possibly two.
Possibly two. Does the Manor's lockdown system behave like the one at the Imperial Academy?
The systems are somewhat different. Unlike the Imperial Academy, the lockdown only prevents people from leaving or entering the manor. So not all of the rooms were locked.
That's me.
Oh.
So not all of the rooms were locked. But what about this specific room?
My bad.
This room does have abjuration wards that lock the door and prevent teleportation in and out of it. And in addition to that, the system placed an anti-magic field over the manor. An anti-magic field?
What is that? As if we don't already know. It's kind of what it says on the tin, Tyrion.
Anti-magic field is a spell that nullifies all magic within it.
Anti-magic field. While concentrating on this spell, the caster forms a 10-foot radius sphere that nullifies all magic within it. Any spell effect that enters the sphere instantly dissipates. and any mage that tries to cast a spell within this zone will fail to do so. If this zone of anti-magic overlaps with any other magical nullification effect, the two effects will cancel each other out.
And the systems somehow cover the entire manor in this effect.
If you noticed, there are several purple crystals embedded in the walls of the manor. Yes, I noticed many of them.
They're very tacky.
Each of those crystals produced an anti-magic field during the lockdown. Lockdown system. The lockdown system covers the entire manor. Once activated, it creates magical barriers that prevent anyone from leaving or teleporting out of the building. In addition to this, it covers the entire manor in an anti-magic field. Within this field, any and all magical effects are nullified and disabled. However, anyone physically or magically connected to the Sword of Spell Eating would be immune to the effects of the anti-magic fields.
So no one could cast magic during the entirety of the lockdown?
Not exactly. Someone could have used the stolen artifact to circumvent it. Which, now we're going to ask, what was the stolen artifact?
As if we need to. You mentioned that someone could have used the stolen artifact to get past the anti-magic fields. What artifact was it?
It was the Sword of Spell Eating. That was the demon-forged item that could supposedly nullify magic. If the legends were true, someone could have used it to counteract the lockdown system. After Lord Haraldson reported the theft, the Inquisition discreetly placed the manor on lockdown. He's a lord?
Harry. Sorry, Harold. Harry's my dad. Short for Harold.
Yeah, I mean,
Harold's all the way down.
Harold Haraldson is a lord? They searched every room in the manor to try to find it. But it was eventually found in Beatrice's bedroom.
Well, he is a magic user, so...
That's true.
And that led them to believe that she had stolen it.
That's correct. The Kingsguard moved to arrest her, but Prince Aster ordered them to step down. It didn't look like she was planning on fleeing, so they planned to wait until after the party had ended.
But then they found Lord Frega's body.
Correct. We believe that she used the stolen sword to nullify the magical locks and break into Lord Frega's study. But if she had the sword, why wouldn't she use that to commit the murder? We're not entirely sure. We have a few working theories. She might have wanted to prevent the theft from being tied to the murder. Or perhaps she had more confidence wielding a knife over a sword. Regardless of her reasons, it's clear that the sword wasn't the murder weapon. So she's not just being implicated in Lord Frega's murder. She's also being charged with stealing the Sword of Spell Eating. But what possible reason would she have to do either of those crimes? Lord Frega in the study with the letter opener. Jinx.
Oh. Well, now you owe me one less Coke than you already owe me.
That's if I don't buy your Coke every week. Coca-Cola.
I would say, like, maybe specify. Since the body was found here, was Lord Frega locked in this room during the lockdown?
Yes, William Frega knew that this room should have been secured. He was supposedly in a bad mood, and had locked himself in this room for most of the night. He refused to let anyone into the room. The only person he spoke to after that was his daughter.
His daughter? Are you talking about Miriam?
No, Lord Frega had another daughter. I'm referring to Leifa Frega, Lord Frega's middle child. She tried to tell her father about the theft, but he was apparently preoccupied with something else. He said that he wanted to stay in his study for the rest of the night.
When did this happen?
It was shortly before the lockdown was activated, a little after 1 a.m.
I see.
Leifa's testimony.
And yes, that's what Leifa looks like.
He's a cutie.
She's adorable!
After his meeting with Beatrice Frega, William Frega retreated into his study and locked himself in. He refused to speak with almost everyone who tried to disturb him. The only person he spoke to was Frega. She told him about the theft of the Sword of Spell Eating a little after 1 a.m., but William didn't seem to care and returned to his business. Liafa must have been the last person to see Lord Frega alive then. You should speak with her and get more details about Lord Frega's actions that night.
By the way, Steelwind, do you have a map of the manor?
I do. Would you like a copy?
Please and thank you.
Frega Manor, Floor 1. It's a map of the ground floor of Frega Manor. It shows the rooms relevant to the case. Frega Manor, Floor 2. It's a map of the second floor of Frega Manor. It shows the rooms relevant to the case. Witnesses!
Were there any other witnesses aside from Liafa who saw Lord Frega that night? Perhaps someone heard what happened from a nearby room.
There was someone who heard the altercation, but it was quite obscured. A servant was trapped in a storage room nearby.
Not him.
There's an air vent that connects this room with that storage room.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to that.
He supposedly heard sounds of a struggle through that vent.
What did this witness hear?
There were sounds of a struggle before he heard Lord Frega choking on his own blood. Yikes! When the lockdown was lifted, he informed the Kingsguard of what he heard. That's when they discovered the body.
I see. Who was this servant?
I believe you actually know him. His name is Jan Hughes.
Oh, not again! And I'm already yawning so much! Wait, Mr. Hughes is here?
You never expected to see him again, much less hear of all places.
Right?
But if he heard the altercation, you'll definitely want to speak with him.
Will we?
I guess, if he is a witness.
I think I'm lacking a lot of information about the defendant. From the way you were both acting, you and Aster seem to know her.
Your mentor didn't tell you about her?
No, I try not to pry into her business.
I see. I honestly don't know much about what happened either. But Beatrice was Lord Frega's eldest daughter, and the former heir to House Frega.
Former heir?
About 5 years ago, she fled Frega Manor and went into hiding. None of us knew where she'd gone. She ignored any attempts we made to contact her. She even used her magic to prevent us from scrying her. Last night's ball was the first time in years that Aster and I had seen her. Beatrice's story. Beatrice Frega fled from her family 5 years ago and went into hiding. Until the night of the murder, many of her friends and family members hadn't seen or heard from her. But if that's true, how did Miss Tymora meet her? An excellent question, to which I do not have an answer.
Would you happen to know why Beatrice was meeting with her father after all these years?
I have some ideas, but nothing concrete. I was hoping you could tell me. Tymora and Beatrice have both refused to disclose anything about their meeting. Damn it. Meeting have been about. Speaking of which, I haven't seen Tymora anywhere in the manor. As the defendant's attorney, I would have thought she'd be here to investigate the murder alongside you. That is strange. But Miss Tymora has always had her own way of doing things. Perhaps she's using a different strategy. In any event, I imagine that she met with her father to request financial aid.
How do you say that?
I have it on good authority that she was deeply in debt. That's the only reason why she would speak with her father after all these years. It's also why I believe that she murdered her father.
You think she murdered him for his inheritance?
It's the only motive that makes sense. Alright, there's a lot to work through here.
So much to unpack.
The prosecution will try to assert that Beatrice committed the murder. But what would she have needed to do to carry out all of the actions described?
So the first thing we need to do is narrow down the time in which the murder occurred.
Oh god, is he doing his breakdown thing again? The body was discovered after the lockdown was lifted.
And Liafa Frega saw her father alive before it was activated.
Oh god, they're both doing it. Orem, escort them out of here!
Oh, I don't want any part of this.
He entered his study, and she watched as the lock engaged.
When did the murder occur? The murder occurred during the lockdown.
During last night. Well, yes.
Yeah, technically.
Right. The murder must have occurred during the lockdown.
But that means that the murderer somehow got past the abjuration wards that protected this room.
Those wards blocked teleportation, and they magically locked the only door leading into this room. Steelwind and the Inquisition believe that Beatrice used the Sword of Spell Eating to get past them. Regardless of what they think, we need to assume that the murderer used some kind of magic nullification to get into William's study.
But that's not necessarily true, is it? What if the murderer entered the room before William locked it?
If they were in the room when William locked it, they would have been trapped here until he decided to leave. Not only that, it would have been discovered the moment the guards entered his study.
Maybe they used some kind of invisibility? Or they could have teleported away the moment the King's Guard unlocked the door. Teleportation didn't occur. We didn't find any traces of conjuration magic. I suppose I'm in this breakdown now, too.
Welcome, I guess. What about Celeste's theory of an invisible assailant?
I'll admit that we did find traces of illusion magic. But the moment the guards saw the body, one of them cast Detect Magic. With that spell, they would have seen any invisible people hiding in this room. Wait, you can use Detect Magic like that? Of course, it's standard procedure. Like all spells, invisibility leaves traces of magic on the person it's cast on. So mages can use Detect Magic as a way to see through invisibility.
So we know for sure that they weren't here before or after the lockdown. This means that whoever committed the murder used some way to bypass the abjurative wards that protect this room.
Method of entry. The murderer somehow entered William Frega's study despite it being protected with abjurative wards. These wards magically locked the only door leading into the room. They also prevented teleportation in and out of the room. It's possible to temporarily nullify these wards with the Sword of Spell Eating.
Boy, they sure do like pointing us right at the sword, don't they?
Hmm.
The next thing to consider is the murder weapon. It was a letter opener that was presumably owned by William Frega. The murderer probably used it to avoid leaving evidence that would... Let me just take that from the top. Clearly, it's been a day. The murderer probably used it to avoid leaving evidence that incriminated them. It didn't work.
The murderer took the murder weapon in Frega's study.
That would seem to be the most logical explanation, yes. Right, the letter opener came from in this room. The murderer probably wanted to avoid using a weapon that would have implicated them. So, they decided to use it and leave it here after the deed was done. But that leaves a glaring hole in the prosecution's case.
And what would that be, Mr. Cuthbert?
Beatrice Frega is completely
Wealthy! I knew it!
a mystery. Why?
Beatrice Flake.
Flega?
Oh no! It's the 4Kids dub! No, Beatrice Frega is completely blind. Even if she were somehow able to break into a highly guarded exhibit, how did she slip past the guards and enter Lord Frega's study? Furthermore, how did she locate the letter opener if she couldn't see it in the first place? None of it makes sense. Committing this murder unseen would have been a tall order for anyone. I can hardly believe a blind person did all this.
You do well not to underestimate her, Mr. Cuthbert.
What?
You don't know her as I do. She's far more capable than you realize. She must be the one behind this.
I suppose I wouldn't know. But the idea that Beatrice did any of this is still ludicrous.
I suppose I can't change your mind about that. But I have to ask you a question, Mr. Cuthbert. What
you do if you discovered that one of your clients was guilty?
Well, I know. Just doesn't seem a natural response. I mean, I tend to have an insight into these sort of things, so that would never happen.
Wouldn't it? I've already seen your uncanny ability to read people, but I'm only hypothetically speaking. So, what would you do if they were guilty?
I suppose I'd withdraw and tell them to find another lawyer.
And if no one else would represent them?
I don't know. It would definitely be a hard choice for me. But I would never be able to represent them if I knew the truth. I just can't stand by and let a murderer escape justice.
I see.
Why do you ask?
No reason. She's wondering if she's gonna need to call him in as a sub later.
Okay.
At any rate, she's made her stance clear. You still have a lot of leads to follow up on. You should move somewhere else. Should we bite the bullet and get this over with?
Oh, fine.
You enter the storage room, hoping to investigate the air vent that connects to Lord Frega's study. When you come across a person laying on the floor...
This is
dear.
normal.
What? Jan? Is that you?
Why did my voice do that?
Oh man, what's with all the noise? I was having such a good nap too. I fucking hate this guy!
Mr. Hughes?
Whoa, it's you two.
Why are you taking a nap in the storage room?
I needed to take a break from all the chaos going on. Kingsguard won't let us leave until they finish investigating the murder. God fucking damn it! And this pompous noble shooed me away when I tried sleeping on one of the couches. I didn't expect anyone to find me here.
Well, the prosecutor told us that you heard the murder from here during the lockdown. Do you think you could tell us what happened?
Yeah, sure. Why not? My nap's kinda ruined anyway.
Let's get this over with.
So you're working as a servant now?
Not exactly, but I was part of the catering staff. Twins started their own food business after Frega threw us out of the academy.
Right. Sorry about that.
It's not your fault. Even if Redmond was still headmaster, I'm sure the board would have found some other way to get rid of us.
Wait, are Valentina and Valerie here too?
Nah. They just contracted some staff to Lord Frega for the Lord's Ball.
Damn, that business really took off and running.
I think a bunch of other businesses did the same thing.
Wonder how they feel about this. They lent their services to the very man who got them fired in the first place.
Yeah, well, money's money, I guess.
William must have offered them a lot of gold.
They strike me as shrewd in spite of their inherent silliness.
Man, I can't believe I got myself pulled into another murder investigation. Do I have bad luck or what?
He says to the guy who's now on his fourth murder investigation.
Well, she's a lawyer.
And he's accidentally stumbled into.
Okay, well.
The prosecutor told us that you heard the altercation through the air vents. Could you tell us exactly what you heard?
Well, I didn't hear everything. I was taking a nap in this room when it happened.
Of course you
Of course he was.
Why were you napping here?
I didn't have a choice. I accidentally closed the door when the lock was engaged. Before I knew it, I was trapped in here.
Right. You recall Steelwind mentioning that.
Anyway, I heard the sound of some kind of struggle going on. I couldn't hear everything, but I heard Lord Frega shout, "Who are you? What do you want?" That went on for a few seconds. Then I heard the sound of someone getting stabbed.
Did you hear the voice of the assailant?
They didn't say anything, but I did hear them. Their voice was really raspy. I think they had a sore throat or something.
Or they were trying to mask their voice. What Jan heard. Jan Hughes was trapped in a storage room near William Frega's study. He took a nap, but was awoken to the sounds of some kind of physical struggle. He heard Frega shout, "Who are you? What do you want?" After a few more seconds, he heard the sound of someone being stabbed.
I hear the sound of stabbings. Why did you enter the storage room anyway?
The servants were complaining about rats running through the air vents, so they sent me to take care of it. I heard one of them running in the vents upstairs, and I followed it here. I figured it had nowhere else to go, so I opened it up and put a trap down. After I was done, I tried to leave, but the door was locked. I didn't have anything else to do, so I took it out.
Rats in the vents. The servants had been frequently complaining about the sound of rats running through the vents. Jan tried to track one of them down and followed it to the storage room. He only heard a few words before the murderer struck the final blow. Doesn't give you much to go on, but his testimony could become relevant later. For now, you should probably move somewhere else and gather more information. We're gonna have to cross-examine him, aren't we?
Joy.
Damn, girl, you goth!
Okay, but it's literally just the dorm from...
Yeah, I know, but God, it's goth. Come on, Tracker, where are you?
More demure, perhaps.
Right, Demir.
Yeah? Ah!
Bless you. I know. Acting! As you enter Beatrice's room, you're unexpectedly met with a large cloud of dust.
Wow, this place has not been cleaned.
Oh?
She is so cute.
Your vision clears up, and you realize that there's someone else in the room with you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to intrude.
No, there's no need to apologize. But I would like to know what you're doing here.
Slipping into Steelwind a bit.
Yeah.
We're here on behalf of the Crown Prince. We're investigating the murder of William Frega.
Maybe something a bit breathier?
Oh, I see.
My apologies, I didn't quite get your name.
My name is Leifa. Leifa Frega. There we go. I just have to find a spot. So this is Leifa. According to Steelwind, she was the last person to see Lord Frega alive yesterday. She might have some information about how he was acting that night.
I'm sorry for your loss, Lady Frega. But do you mind if I ask you some questions about last night?
Of course.
Prosecutor Steelwind told us that you were the last person to see him alive. Did you notice anything unusual about your father's behavior?
Well, he was extremely upset about something. I think Beatrice may have offended him during their meeting. The servants said that he wanted to be left alone. He retreated into his study immediately after their meeting. I tried to speak with him when the theft was reported, but he didn't much care about the missing artifact. He told me to leave him alone and let the Kingsguard investigate the sword. He was probably busy making the changes to his will.
Now that's an interesting thought.
When did you speak with him last?
It was before they activated the lockdown. It was a little after 1 a.m. that night.
Leifa's testimony. After his meeting with Beatrice Frega, William Frega retreated into his study and locked himself in. He refused to speak with almost everyone who tried to disturb him. Through Leifa's thoughts, you know that he entered the study to make some sort of adjustment to his will. The updated part.
And do you have any idea what he was doing in his study?
What? No, I have no idea.
You detect some fear?
Lady Freyga, is there something you're not telling us? It's important that we know about your father's actions before his death.
I'm sorry. I don't know anything else. My father was a private man and didn't share much with anyone, even his own family. I wish I could be of more help. I really don't know anything else. I refuse to believe that's why he was killed. She's clearly holding something back. If you can reveal what she's hiding through an argument, she might be more willing to cooperate. But you'll need more information about William and his will first. Will and his will?
Yeah, it's the will of Will.
In the meantime, you should figure out what else she knows. So this room.
I noticed that this room hasn't been cleaned recently. You know why?
It's because I've forbidden the servants from cleaning this room.
And why would you do that?
Beatrice is very dear to me, and I couldn't bear to have her room disturbed after she left. This room was the only memory I had of her after she left. You suppose that makes sense? She must have been holding on to the hope that her sister would return.
And what about the sort of spell eating? Do you know how it ended up in this room? Burying the lead a little bit, considering we haven't investigated yet.
I'm not sure. It's possible someone planted it here to frame Beatrice. I can't say why they would choose this room, though.
Devs, you might want to fix that particular hiccup.
We need to examine the room.
Yes.
It's highly extravagant.
It's a highly extravagant bed. Looks similar to the one in Miriam's dorm.
Lampshade.
Well, better than a bare bulb. It's a dresser covered in a layer of dust. Doesn't look like it's been touched in years. It's a table for guests, but it's extremely dusty.
Oh, she dusty.
Oh, shit! Oh, hello!
There's a trace of transmutation magic under the bed. I can't see it clearly. Let me take a closer look. It's Crimson Lotus!
What?
It's my sword!
You named it after your favorite beverage?
What? You never knew her sword had a name.
This is where it's been.
But why would it be here?
This is also the room where they found the sword of spell eating. Are the thefts related somehow?
But why? The only similar thing about them is that they're both swords.
They're both red. There's definitely more to this. But what? Celeste's sword. You later found the missing sword and it was in Beatrice's bedroom. This was also the room where the sword of spell eating was found after it was stolen. Are these two elements related somehow?
Yeah, I feel like this particular chapter is the one most in need of another few passes of proofreading, which is desperately unfortunate because it is also arguably one of the most compelling in the game. It's definitely got the most out of nowhere left turns.
It's fine. This is a very indie game.
Well, you're right about that much. What kind of person was your father? That kind.
Yikes. Doesn't look like William Freyga was very beloved. My father was a complicated man. He was a brilliant scholar and businessman, but he was a cold and distant father.
I see. Did he have any enemies?
As the head of House Freyga, he controlled nearly every banking house in Wyverngard.
So yes.
There were many people who resented his wealth and power.
Can you remember anyone specific? Perhaps someone that he'd slighted recently?
There was Lloyd von Sanctus. Not again!
The ruling Lord of Aranax?
Yes, I heard that he was recently involved in a court case. My father has been using the controversy as an opportunity to slowly take control of Von Sanctus Industries. And from what I've heard, he's been extremely bitter about that. Von Sanctus's reputation must have taken a hit after the Draconian trials. You doubt he'd get himself involved in another murder. But you can never be too sure. You'll want to speak with him and get more details. Although, would he even consider cooperating with you?
Not at all. Well, are there any other enemies he might have had?
No, none that I can think of. Tell me about your sister.
What can you tell me about Beatrice Frege? I heard that she fled the Frege estate 5 years ago.
Before she left, Beatrice was one of the most powerful mages I'd ever seen. She is, incredible. At the age of 18, her talent for magic could even eclipse my father's. But it was never enough for him.
What do you mean?
Before my mother died, he desperately wanted a son, but he only ever had daughters. Everyone thought that Beatrice would inherit House Frege from my father, but our family knew the truth. William Frege would never leave his legacy in the hands of a woman. He was a sexist pig.
Yeah.
What? No matter how hard Beatrice tried, my father would never acknowledge her accomplishments. He was extremely cruel to her. He constantly belittled her achievements and dismissed anything she said to him. And after the accident, he used her disability as an excuse to take away the little influence she had. There was an accident that gave her a disability? Is that why she's blind? Elaborate on that, please.
Man, it's not too painful for you. Could you tell me more about Beatrice's accident?
Is this even relevant to the investigation?
Any small detail could make a difference. I need to learn everything I can.
I'm not sure about exactly what happened, but it was a magical experiment gone wrong. Beatrice was working on a project at the Imperial Academy. She was trying to create a new spell formula. We're still not sure what happened, but there was an adverse magical reaction. The resulting explosion seriously injured her and left her completely blind.
Can't imagine how she must have taken that.
Actually, she was probably the most unfazed by what happened. But that didn't matter. My father saw his opportunity. He told me that he was relieving her of her duties so that she could recover. But I knew the truth. He was going to take away her political power and social standing. She was reduced to a mere decoration for our home.
And that must have been why she left. Did she contact you during the time that she was missing?
No. No one had heard from her during that time. But as much as I was worried for her, I was also a little happy. Unlike Miriam and I, she had finally broken free from my father. I have no idea what would cause her to return here. I think you've learned everything you can for now. Perhaps you should move elsewhere. Can't do an
I
argument
forgot how
yet?
long this one is.
Okay, to the sitting room. You explore the manor further and find one of its many sitting rooms. That is a fun painting. Oh, that is a fun painting right there. I love that.
Yeah.
And there you happen to spot a very familiar face. Not this guy again.
Meh.
He's sipping on a glass.
Slipping on a glass of... Nah.
Yep. Not changing. He's sipping on a glass of wine, and his expression turns disdainful the moment you enter the room, like he's got a bad case of sour grapes.
Oh, wonderful. As if my day couldn't have gotten any worse. Von Sanctus, what are you doing here? The head of a noble house has just been murdered. I can't... Well, I couldn't help it. I can't very well return to Oranax when my affairs are in such disarray. Regardless, forget what I'm doing here. What are you doing here?
Oh, I just wanted to have a friendly chat with one of my favorite noblemen.
No, but seriously, the Prince hired us.
I hear that you've been keeping busy since we last met. It must be difficult losing your empire to House Frege.
Oh, you're just rubbing it in, Tyrion.
Oh, twisting the knife.
Tyrion, we do need his help.
Is that so? And what makes you think I'd ever help the likes of you? Because it would take suspicion off of you. And let's face it, with your reputation, you could use all the help you can get.
How dare you! I'll have you know that I am still a respected member of the nobility!
No, you're not.
Respected? Is that why everyone's talking about your hand in Justin Way's death? Because the way I see it, being involved in another scandal would destroy what little remains of your reputation. But it makes no difference to me. And to be perfectly honest, I'd like nothing more than to drag you onto the stand and embarrass you a second time.
Oh, Tyrion's enjoying this.
Yes, he is. Little shit.
You can practically hear him grinding his teeth together.
Very well. If it means I won't have to endure your presence for any longer, I'll oblige and answer your questions, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just one mess after another with you.
Yes?
I'm having too much fun.
Wouldn't you have much to gain from William Frege's death?
On a surface level, you might be right, but it's far more complicated than that, yes. House Frege controls the banking houses. They are the main pillar of support for Wivengard's economy. William's death could have unimaginable economic consequences, regardless of who inherits his house. Yeah. I wouldn't be foolish enough to do that.
That remains to be seen.
Think what you will. There are others who would benefit from William Frege's death. Yeah.
Who would those be?
Oh, the main suspect? I'm sorry, I'm having so much fun that I knocked my headphones off my head.
You mentioned that other people would benefit from Frege's death. Who specifically?
Yeah.
If I had to venture a guess, I would say Lucio Steelwind benefits the most.
Oh.
Do you mean the prosecutor's father? But you just said that Lord Frege's death could have unimaginable consequences for the economy.
Ha! Do you think that brute cares about Wivengard's economy? No, all that man cares about is power. Pure and physical power. House Steelwind and House Frege have been fighting for control of Wivengard for generations. And in this long-lasting era of peace, the Steelwind's military have become far less valuable to the crown. Yeah. If it weren't for Lady Steelwind's engagement to the Crown Prince, they might not even be considered a pillar family anymore.
You're having way too much fun with them, yes?
Yes. The death of William Frege is probably exactly what Lucio Steelwind has been waiting for. And if our economy were to suffer, it would cause civil unrest. Yeah. In a scenario like that, the Crown would have to rely on Steelwind's forces to maintain order.
That does make sense. But could Arya's father really be involved with this?
Yes. No.
Other suspects.
It's clear that you think Lucio Steelwind would have much to gain from this. But can you think of anyone else?
Well, there is Harold Haroldson.
That can't be his real name.
The answer may surprise you.
What would Mr. Haroldson possibly gain from Frege's death?
Please, Harold. From what I've heard, William was planning to defund the Haroldson Hall of History. Yeah.
Really? Why would he do that?
I'm not sure of the specifics, but supposedly Lord Haroldson has refused to omit the less flattering parts of Wivengard's history from his exhibits. Yeah. It's gotten blatant enough that he's drawn the ire of the king himself. They actually got into a very heated argument during the Lord's Ball about it.
Oh.
I heard that William declared he would be removing House Haraldson from his estate. Meh.
You don't want to suspect Mr. Haraldson, but you need to examine every possibility. As the curator, he would have had the easiest access to the Sword of Spell Eating, and he could have staged a robbery to cover his tracks. At the very least, you should give Mr. Haraldson a chance to explain himself. Another lead to chase. But first, let's talk about Beatrice,
Indeed.
the lady of the hour.
What can you tell me about the defendant in this case? What? She's your client. Surely you would know her better than I. Yeah.
She's actually not my client.
Meh? Humor me. Well, I'm sure you're aware that she fled the Frege estate 5 years ago.
You okay there?
Chili wanted to come back on me. Give a guy a sec.
Do I need to get you a glass of water?
Nah, I'm good. In doing so, she not only dealt a blow to House Frege's reputation, but she also directly insulted the Crown Prince by breaking her engagement to him. Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, Beatrice was engaged to Aster?
Oh, sister, let me give you the tea.
This tea is piping hot.
Yes, and it's Lotus. Yes, it was quite the scandal at the time. Yeah. And Lucio wasted no time in pushing his daughter into taking Beatrice's place.
Oh, is that why those three were so awkward last night?
Honestly, the situation is just an absolute mess. And that woman's return will complicate things.
Beatrice's return complicates things? What did he mean by that?
Meh.
Explain.
You find Beatrice's return to be inconvenient for you? What are you on about now? Please, don't insult my intelligence, Von Sanctus. Fine. If you must know, my son was arranged to marry William's daughter, Lifa. Lifa? Since Beatrice showed no signs of returning, it was apparent that Lifa would inherit House Frege instead of her, yeah. I know when my days are numbered, so I took preemptive action, yeah. William wanted a male heir, and I needed to preserve my house, so we both came to an accord. My son and Lifa were arranged to be wed. Yeah. House Von Sanctus would have been absorbed, but at least my Jaden would stand at the helm of House Frege.
You nobles are absolutely awful. I should probably consider myself lucky.
Think what you will, I wouldn't expect a commoner to understand me. That's the problem with your generation. You have no sense of duty or obligation.
Okay,
I'm rhyming now.
Okay, Boomer.
Lifa has already expressed resistance to this marriage, even though she was well aware of the details. Now I worry she'll hide behind her sister and end the engagement altogether. Yeah.
Lifa's engagement. Lifa Frege was due to be married to Jaden Von Sanctus. This arranged marriage was facilitated by William Frege and Lloyd Von Sanctus. As part of this diplomatic marriage, House Von Sanctus would be absorbed by House Frege. In return, Jaden would inherit the entirety of House Frege from William. Lifa knew how this marriage would affect the future of House Frege. She has expressed resistance to the diplomatic marriage and has been stalling for time. Lloyd Von Sanctus worries that William Frege's death could cancel the marriage altogether. Lifa never mentioned any of this, and as much as you hate to think it, William's death would get her out of this arranged marriage. You should talk to her about this. At any rate, Von Sanctus gave you a decent list of suspects. You've probably learned everything you can from him for now. It'd be best to move and follow up on these leads.
Before you go, examine that portrait.
Yes.
It's a painting of some adventurers in a tavern. Ah, this must be Beatrice Frege the First.
Which?
Ah, good question. The first? According to legend, she was one of the descendants of the 7 heroes of Wivengard.
1, 2, 3, 4,
So-
5, 6, 7. Oh, it's probably her.
Probably. She joined a band of adventurers that were traveling across the nation. It's hard to imagine the Fregas coming from such humble beginnings.
That's me.
Sorry, I was on a roll. Man,
It's hard to imagine the Fregas coming from such humble beginnings.
what?
There was a dude there.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
There,
Listen,
Eris.
I know Listen, I know the composition's a bit unbalanced, but it's still quite nice and heartwarming, I think. Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother keeping it.
Eris, what did you do?
What? What is it now? That muscular man in the corner, he just vanished. What are you on about? There was never a man there.
Sorry, Tyrion, but he's right.
No, I'm sure he was there.
Are you feeling okay?
Maybe.
Perhaps your lack of sleep is making you see things that aren't there.
Prepario Arcanum.
Dang it.
No sense using detect magic anywhere but a crime scene. I'm gonna tell you that right.
I wanted my proof that Eris messed with the painting.
Bold of you to assume she was doing it with arcane magic.
That's fair. But we will press on following up these leads.
Oh, do we
Next-
gotta leave it on his ugly mug?
Okay, we can do one more.
I mean, I was only half seen. Or we could just go back to the gallery. Yeah. Or the bedroom. Later.
Later?
We don't have his will yet, remember?
I didn't know we needed his will.
Well, we need information about it. Why don't we just end it here and come back to that later?
We'll go to the gallery, hang out there.
Oh, alright. Only because I quite like voicing Harold.
You return to the gallery and see a legion of knights inspecting the crime scene.
Oh,
However, you don't see Mr. Haraldson anywhere.
come on!
The Inquisition must be questioning him. Perhaps you should follow another lead while you wait for him to return.
Excellent spot to end it then.
Yes, we will figure out which lead we are to follow. Whoa, nope, we're gonna save first. We will figure out which lead we are to follow next time.
Yes, indeed.
There we go.
All
Alright,
right.
so that's it for another episode of Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. Next time we settle in, we'll do some more of our investigation and hopefully figure out what went on between Tyrion and Ruby to get him as the substitute prosecutor.
I think they've dropped a few hints already, but
But at any rate, thanks to everyone who stopped by, and anybody who's watching the VOD after the fact. We will be back here hopefully this coming Friday with the next part. And if we're not here Friday night, then we will be here on Saturday night again.
yeah, we do try and shoot for Fridays as a general rule, but every once in a while real life gets in the way and we gotta postpone it for a day.
But for now, that's going to be it for this stream.
Thanks so much for coming.
Now, what does this button do?
Oh, for the love of